I was able to get all of these beautiful couples between the ages of 21 and 25 together, and they agreed to be open and vulnerable about their relationships. We discussed many different topics, told our stories, and gave great advice. The goal of this video is to be able to help you and many other young adults navigate their young adult relationship.
So, hey everybody, my name is Loreal. I am 25 years old. I have known Akil since like 8th or ninth grade. And we've been in a relationship for 5 years.
Something like that.
4 or 5 years.
So, yeah, my name is Akil. We're the Washingtons. Married for a couple months. We been dating, like she said, for 5 years. Known each other for about I don't know, maybe about a long time. Yeah, a real long time. So yeah, that's us. And I'm 24.
Hi, I'm Gabbi. I'm 21, but I'll be 22 next month. I have known Asa for, I think, about 8 or 9 years since my sophomore year in high school. And we have been dating for 4, going on 5 years this November.
Yep. There ain't too much for me to say after that. You know what I'm saying? My name's Asa. You know, most people might know me by Asa the Prodigy. If you do know me, if you don't know me, you know me now. But yeah, you know, this is my baby. We've been together like since forever. Freaking used to ride the bus together. And long story short story long, developed a real relationship through just friendship and fell in love with Shawty, and yeah, I ain't letting her go no time soon, like ever. You feel me? So that's what we on. So yeah.
All right. Go ahead, LaMara.
I'm LaMara. I'm 23 years old, and I met him my junior year of high school. We've been dating for like 4 years now.
And hey everyone, my name is Dmariee. Met this beautiful young lady, like she said, you know, back in high school. I am 23? Okay, cool. I never remember my age. But it's been a great time, and you know, she wasn't, you know, we didn't come into a relationship, you know, together at first, but like right now I wouldn't trade her for the world. So this right here is my ride or die.
All right, I'll go. So I'm providing a different perspective. Me and Darius are fresh. But I've known him for like a year. And we started dating like 3 months ago.
Today marks month 3.
Huh?
Today marks month 3.
Oh, excuse me. Today marks 3. So, I am 21. I'm gonna be 22 at the end of this month. And go ahead, Darius.
As my baby said, I'm Darius. I'm 24. We've known each other for over a year, and yeah, we ended up meeting over social media. But yeah, it was we've been together for about 3 months. Like I said, today marks the 3rd month. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get started. As a young adult, knowing that you're going to go through so many different changes as you grow, what is the most important thing to look for in a partner?
I don't think I mentioned that I was 21 in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? That big 2-1, you know what I'm saying, first. Second of all, I really think, honestly, just the will to change, just the will to change in general. I mean, most people have it messed up. I mean, everybody hears that, like, over time, your partner is going to change and this, that, and the third, but people aren't really committed to that change. You know what I'm saying? So, and you can see that just through little things that they do in their lives. Just the little stuff. It might be a little hard to notice at first, but just see how they take change, bruh, and how much they're willing to adjust and make compromises in life for themselves as well as your relationship. And then once you see that, it'll let you know how much it can, how much further it can go. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to need a whole lot of growth. There's arguments are going to happen. You know, crazy stuff is going to happen, like off rip. You know what I'm saying? But if they're committed to really growing with you and not growing apart from you or even if they gotta grow apart from you, just in general. I feel like that's mainly the most important thing concerning that. You know what I'm saying? So,
all right, it's Akil here. So we've been together since we was 19, and so she's 25 now. I'm 24. So, as you all know, because you all are past the age of 19. At 19, you're one way. You know, as you get older, you start to look back and be like, "There's no way I'm the same person that I was years ago," and that can be hard for any relationship because you're growing. That's what you're supposed to do. And some people don't grow at the same rate. Some people grow faster than others. Some people are growing up, and some people are growing out. The biggest thing that you have to look for, I think you have to find out who that person is. Once you find out who that person is, you can help them grow. There's nothing that says you can't help that person grow. You're going to grow regardless, and if you're growing up faster, it doesn't matter if that person behind you. If you know that person is genuinely who you want to be with, you have to bring them along. I would say also, if set a goal for which I want, because if you're growing apart or you're growing up or growing out, if you don't have a goal for your relationship, it's going to be easy to say, well, you know what, you go do your own thing, I'll go do my own thing because we're growing up. So I think also being on the same page and knowing what you all want for your relationship will help you with that growth.
I would say something to look for in a partner is someone that you can see yourself growing with, and someone that you can't see without like having them in your life. Because ultimately, if you can't see your life without that person, and that's who you know that you're supposed to be with, then that's the decision that you'll make in order to figure out whether or not, like, what you're gonna do to maintain your relationship as you continue to grow. Like, am I gonna make the choice to love you in 10 years, even though you'll be a different person? What am I gonna do in order to make sure that our relationship stays intact? So I think that's really important, is finding someone that you can see yourself growing with and making the decision to love the new person that you'll love and meet every single stage and season of your relationship.
I want to add to that because I feel like that was good advice, but I do think the thing that it wasn't necessarily what I looked for. I found out that I needed it when I had it. Somebody to actually push me to be a better version of myself. I found that a lot of times when I was dating, I would want to be with somebody that was like in agreement with me all the time. And, it's like, like I'm very type A. So I'm like, this how I'm going to do it, this how I'm going to do it. And you're not going to tell me, anything else. But I found that, like, even with Darius, he pushes me to do stuff and it gets on my everlasting nerve. Like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, like, I needed that. If I say that I'm going to do something, he's like, you said you was going to do this, especially because he's a personal trainer, especially when it comes to working out and eating right. I'll work out all day, but I'll still sit down and eat 10 Oreos. And he's like, you said you were supposed to eat right. So just in terms of that, like, somebody that's really going to push me, somebody that's going to be like, you need to get this work done. Let's get this final done. Let's do this. Where do you want to be in the next 5-10 years? And I feel like that is not that I necessarily need that, because you should be able to motivate yourself, but it's good to have somebody that's going to push you to keep going, because you never want to be in a relationship where you're dependent upon that relationship to keep you happy. You want to have something going for yourself, and you want them to have something going for themselves.
One thing I could add into is that just the fact that when you are in a relationship, based off of what I went through in the past, is just like being able to just be yourself and not really have to worry about tiptoeing around just being your true self around who you're with, because it's like it just feels like very confining if you're not able to express how you really feel with who you're with, not being able to fully communicate, not being able to work on compromises, but having a partner who's fully understanding of who you are and willing to meet you, halfway. It's just like it's just something that you just can't let go of. So just like you gotta be able to be yourself, and if you're not able to be yourself, then really that relationship just ain't really for you. Y'all not really fit for each other.
I think one thing LaMara has taught me is that the biggest part of a relationship is communication. I feel like if you can't communicate with someone, then it really doesn't matter what else. Because if you think about it, whether it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, what kind of relationship it is. Even if you have your friends too, I feel like it all comes down to, can I talk to you as my bro, my boy, as my best friend, my confidant, right? And I feel like when you translate that into like a relationship with someone that you're trying to spend the rest of your life with, I feel like it comes down to now, can I tell you how I feel? Can I communicate to you and you are able to receive that? Because if not, it doesn't matter if, everything else is perfect, because you're going to grow apart because you're not going to be able to understand. So I think being able to communicate is probably one of the biggest things when you got it growing up and changing, but just in general, just to have the relationship work.
Piggybacking off of what you just said about communication and like communicating through growing, I think one of the most important parts of a relationship is communication, but I also think the next most important part is listening, because if you're one but you're not listening to what they're communicating to you about, then there's no point in communicating if you're not going to listen to what they have to say, especially in each different season. Because if you're growing with someone and they said one thing before and then they say something different later, if you don't listen to that change, then you missed what they were saying because it was this way before. You're supposed to listen to them in each season of growing, because I may have said my favorite color was purple like 3 years ago, but if I'm telling you my new favorite color is pink and you keep buying me purple stuff, it's like, bro, you're not with me on this growth process. Like you're stuck in the past. So.
Plus 10.
Yeah, baby.
So, just to piggyback off of what y'all were saying, I think another key thing in the relationship is forgiveness. And I mean, me and Akil are married, so like we're stuck with each other, like live in the same household, can't go anywhere. So especially like during this quarantine period, like we're around each other 24/7. And when you're around somebody so much, sometimes it can cause like little petty arguments, or you get like annoyed sometimes by like little stuff from being around each other or whatever. But yeah, I think like a real key to anything is forgiveness, because a marriage is a representation of Christ in the church. And if Christ is always forgiving us when we make mistakes, like as a spouse, you have to be the same exact way, like regardless of what it is. Like you have to forgive and you have to talk through it. I think like the world is always telling you, oh, like forgive but never forget. And like, people are so used to holding grudges and stuff like that. But when you bring that stuff into a relationship or in a marriage, like it's not going to cause anything but strife, confusion, like resentment towards that person. And like you just have to let stuff go sometimes. Like you have to forgive, talk through it, like figure out, can we move past this? Once you decide that y'all can both move past it and work on it together, then you just got to forget about it, like put it in the past. And
it's not if. Once you're married.
Well, yeah, once you're married, you have to. Like, that's your job as a spouse, to be forgiving and to fix it and to work through it. So.
I like that. This is all so good, like good stuff. We did talk a little bit, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said something about learning from your past. And I do think that's so important. But I want to ask you guys the question, have you had the discussion about past relationships? Do you think it's important to talk about past relationships? And how has past relationships affected your current relationship?
I'll start with this. I do think it's important to discuss your past, because your past has played a huge role in who you are and how you act in certain relationships. And just for me, I can only speak for what works for us and how I feel. But I feel like if you're hiding your past, it's for a reason. And I feel like once you're in a relationship with someone, all the secrets go out the window. So as far as I'm concerned, past is as relevant as it is to the future, because it is who you are and is the reason why you are a certain way. So I always talk about, well, not always, but, when we first started dating, I wanted to know certain things, like what went wrong here, or, why did this happen, or why did that happen? Because then I understand and know, how to treat you and how to deal with you when it comes to certain situations.
I'm the type of person, I don't like talking about that stuff. Like, Akil likes having uncomfortable conversations and asking like uncomfortable questions. And I'm the type of person to be like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't feel comfortable telling you about like someone from my past that I dealt with and like going into detail about stuff and stuff like that. But I think he's kind of like forced me to open up about stuff and like talk about it. And it's been helpful. Like it helps us kind of guide through our relationship a little bit better. So even though it's very uncomfortable, very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I would piggyback off of the uncomfortable conversation thing because Asa does that as well, where he'll like force an uncomfortable conversation. Because I'm a very vague person, and I'm learning more about myself through my relationship that like I really don't like to talk about certain things, and I'm really not the most verbal person when it comes to expressing myself. So he'll ask me a question that will prompt something completely like different than the initial question, and it really blows me because I'll be puffing and puffing, attitude like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, why are you asking me this? I don't want to answer this. Like, what? And then once I kind of like caught on, I'm like, bro, why are you asking me this right now? I'm like, just answer the question. Just answer the question. I'm like, no, because I don't. And it ends up always being a conversation that was really super necessary to growth, or a conversation that just really needed to be had. And at the end, I can see it, but while we're having it, I'm just like, no, like I'm not here for this. And I think that that's really important to just tough it out during those conversations and really talk about past relationships and just things in your past that have kind of molded you into who you are currently. So,
to my fellas that's watching this video, be vulnerable with your girl, bro. You gotta be vulnerable, bro. You cannot be afraid to open up. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be afraid to open up. I don't care. If you're not comfortable with opening up to who you're with, you don't need to be with shawty at all. Like, at all, by any means. Like, get your bags, go somewhere. Or you can just work on yourself and figure out how to be vulnerable. Figure out how to open up. What you feel, what happened to you, what really hurt you, you know what I'm saying? Take it there. You know what I'm saying? As a man, most women, from what I've experienced, most women haven't necessarily dealt with men that are vulnerable and that are transparent. So just by you showing her that you're transparent, if she by nature is like closed off, she just might open up to you as well. And you might, you know what I'm saying, learn some things about each other and be able to, you know what I'm saying, finesse the whole thing. You feel me? So just don't be afraid to be vulnerable. To my men out there, bro. You can't do that. You can't expect to have a successful relationship if you're not trying to open yourself up 100%. I don't care if you feel like she could use it against you. I don't care if you don't know if y'all are even going to work out. But if you are expecting any type of growth in your relationship, to my fellas, stop being freaking ridiculous, bruh. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Open up, say what you gotta say, do what you gotta do. You feel me?
What's funny is we're opposite. Like, in terms of me wanting to talk, I feel like I talk more about my past than he does. So I feel like for me, when we first started talking or whatever, I was asking a lot of questions, and to this day, I still ask a lot of questions because I want to know why he is the way that he is. And I remember I got into an argument one time about something. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was like intense. Like I was upset. He was upset because he wasn't, like, he was listening, but he wasn't understanding. And for me, that it's hard when you're communicating with somebody, you're having an argument and you're trying to communicate to them so that they can understand, and they're trying to understand, but it's just not working. And so I after thinking about it, I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, he's probably like the way that he is because of his past. And I'm like, this, and then when I explained it to him from that, you know what I'm talking about, like when I was like, it's probably because he's only been in one other relationship. So I'm like, dude, you're used to being single. You have to consider me, you know what I'm saying, when you make certain decisions. And so that's why I feel like talking about your past is so important, because it really does shape how your relationship is and how you view certain things in your current relationship.
I think on that point too, I think sometimes you as a person who's, you know, living and everything like that, you don't consider it from the other person's perspective. You're just kind of living your life, you know, like, I'm just do me. And sometimes when you are, like was being said before, when you're vulnerable, you're able to see those faults that you might not necessarily see in yourself. and you're able to bring them to life so that way you can address them and grow. And sometimes, like with us, I remember when we first started, like I was like, yo, from the jump, I was like, yo, I'm gonna tell you straight, like I came out of a relationship where I was hurt real bad, and I just got off my whole phase. I don't know how serious I can be, like I'm telling you like this, like I want this to work, but like right now I'm hurt. This is how it is. You feel me? And being able to communicate that my past, what I was going through, I feel like she was able to better understand to help me get out of that instead of I was just lying or not telling the truth, and then she wouldn't be able to help me get out of that phase. So I think being vulnerable, talking about your past, talking about things that you don't want to talk about, doesn't just help the other person, but also helps you grow and get out of it as well.
I'll just add this. Just with all relationships, I mean, all relationships kind of deal with life at some point. So for all the people that's watching and you kind of like, I don't really like the uncomfortable feelings or things like that. Anything worth having is going to come with some type of uncomfortable feeling at some point. So if your relationship is what you want to work, you want to get to that next level, you're going to have to come up out the honeymoon stage at some point. You're going to have conversations that you might not want to have. It's better to have them now than to get down to an altar, be stuck, and then you find out a whole bunch of stuff later. So figure out now, save yourself the heartache now or later. But if you get it out the way now, I promise you it won't be that bad later. So anything that is worth having is going to come with some type of pain. I don't know one person that's been successful in anything without some type of pain. And that's just in life.
While we're talking about our past, I was thinking about asking this one, but I feel like it's important because while I was thinking about asking it, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see so many references to it. So I figured we should talk about it. If you're uncomfortable answering this, you don't have to answer it. But does things in their past, such as sexual history or academic history or things that may even just be like mental health, things like that, does deep things in their past matter? Like, and to what extent?
I'll say this. For me, as a guy, your sexual past matters. I mean, that's just to me. I mean, this is my wife. You know what I'm saying? I love her to death. I ask the questions before we get down to the altar. I don't want to be that guy that get down to the altar and then next thing you know, you look up and there's some wild video going around. You know what I'm saying? Some things I want to know. I want to know what I'm getting myself into. As far as education, I want to know that, you got some type of, work ethic, some drive. I mean, necessarily, if you don't go to school, not a big deal. Like as far as college, but, I want to know that you weren't someone who just cruised through life. You have no drive, no nothing, because I'm a provider. At the end of the day, we're a team. So if you bringing me down, it's going to bring this whole relationship down. If I'm bringing you down, it's going to bring the whole relationship down. We're a team. So at some point, I want to know that you have something. And I do want to know about mental health issues, because mental health is something that you can't control that. But if you disclose it to me, I know how to treat you, and we can work together about getting help. Those are things you should not be afraid to disclose. I want to know those things.
Yeah, agree. Like, I don't think a relationship is going to be successful unless you take those things into consideration and you have those discussions. Like previous sex partners is extremely important. Like, sex is like so serious. Like, people get you connect with somebody when you have sex with them, like whether you're married or whether you're not married. Like, you get people's like different spirits and stuff like that. Like, the people that you deal with affect you. I think it's a lot that ties into it, and that stuff can negatively affect you moving forward into your next relationship. So it's like, if you don't talk about those things or you try to hide them, eventually it's going to come out. Like, everything that's done in the dark will come to the light. So all of that stuff that you may be trying to push into the closet and not tell your partner because you don't want to ruin the relationship or whatever. Like Akil said, if you don't talk about it now, it will come out later, and it might be detrimental to your relationship, and it won't survive to the long run. So I think you have to take those things into consideration. You have to have those conversations.
Before somebody else answers, I want to ask, when you're considering their sexual history and partners, your significant other sexual partners, does it matter how sexually active they've been? I want to include that too, because I feel like there are a lot of people that may have had an intense sexual past and they want to be able to move forward and be like, I just want to be in a clean, godly relationship. Is that something that you can accept? Think about that as well too.
So on that one, do you mind if I okay, I'm not going to put your business out there, but
disclaimer, I played college football.
And
I was an All-American. Let me just disclaimer for that.
So,
all right, I'm not a jerk.
But like when me and Akil had the conversation, and I was asking these uncomfortable questions, when I tell you, I was like, "What?" Like mouth, like, "Are you kidding me? Like, is this a joke?" Like, and I accepted it clearly because we got married, and so I was like, okay, like it's a big deal, but at the same time, it's like, okay, for one, like we need to have the conversation, like, is all that crap out of your system? Because I don't want it to be later down the line and you reliving your football that you don't play football no more. You're not in college no more. We're grown now, so don't let history repeat itself type thing or whatever. So, I mean, it is uncomfortable, and I think it's more uncomfortable for guys than it is for females. Like when guys ask that question, like, "Oh, what's your body count? Oh, what's this? Oh, you be doing this, you be doing that." It's hard for guys to accept that sometimes when they're looking at their girlfriend or their fiance, and they're like, "Dang, like you're so innocent to me. Like I just can't see you doing that with anybody with me." And it's like heartbreaking to them. And it's like, dude, like we're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. It is what it is. So I think like if you really want to be with that person, you'll swallow your pride and be like, okay, hurt a little bit, but like I love you. I'm willing to like accept the fact that this is in your past, and moving forward, I know that that's no longer going to happen. But yeah, you have to talk about it. Like you have to, because I mean, like I said, it's not going to survive without those uncomfortable situations. And if you really want to be with somebody, you're willing to swallow your pride and accept their past, as long as I have an understanding that moving forward things will be different.
All right. So y'all really spitting. First of all, I just want to say that y'all really spitting some facts out here. You know what I'm saying? I know these people are gonna be looking at this joint. Y'all really giving some serious game. Just piggybacking off of just the history of the person you're with in general. I feel like a lot of people, and just because I got a lot of friends, bro, they be on that type of stuff, bro, and they don't really pay attention that all of that stuff matters. And mainly from the perspective of like academic history, mental health, family history, things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, bro, or just in general, you're in a relationship to marry. If you're really trying to do it right, you're in a relationship to marry. And if you're in a relationship to marry, 7 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, you're in a relationship to eventually have kids. All of those things, bro, matter. You got to make sure that your kids are getting the best traits possible, bro, especially when you're picking who you're going to be with and X, Y, Z, just in general, or whatever the case may be. Because all of that stuff is going to come up, whether they were smart or whether they weren't, or just whatever it was. I mean, it sounds wild, but all that stuff matters, bro. You want to make sure that you're giving your children the best chance to survive, the best chance to live in a house and be raised in a house with some type of stability, whether it's financial, mental, whatever. You're trying to make sure that you are preparing the next generation that you are going to put on this planet in the best position you can to succeed. And it starts off with you and the partner that you pick, and having them uncomfortable conversations or learning. I mean, some people might be like, "Oh, why you need to know they family health history and why you need to know all that?" Nah, bro. Look, man, my baby got good genes out here, bro. I don't got time for the games, bro. I don't got time for the games. So just when you picking, yes, ask them questions, bro. I don't care how uncomfortable it gets. All of that information is key to who you plan to spend the rest of your life with and who you plan to bring children into this world with. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I have 2 points with this. So the academic history, me and Asa, we went to high school together. And one of the biggest turnoffs for him was the fact that I'm very intelligent, and I my tendency was to not apply myself. It wasn't because I wasn't smart or that I couldn't do it. I just really didn't care. I had a very lackluster attitude in high school. We wore uniforms. I purposefully did not wear my uniform. And I sat in school suspension almost every day. I skipped class. I didn't make honor roll to my senior year, and I got a 3.7 just because I actually decided to try. But by that point, it was kind of too late. And that was the biggest turnoff for him. And I remember him talking about it all the time. I'd be like, come hang out with me during lunch. And he'd be like, no. And I'm like, come on, let's hang out. And he's like, no, I'm going to go to class. And I used to be like, fine. But as I got older, I realized the importance and all of that. Because he's like, bro, the stuff that you do is our kids are going to do. The tendencies that you have, you're going to pass down through the generations. And so I would say my relationship has contributed to the vast majority of the drive and discipline that I have today, because the work ethic that I see in my partner is something that I learned to copy or incorporate into my own routine, because I didn't think it was that important at 16 and 17. Me skipping class was not a big deal back then, but I understand the purpose in it all now. And then too, about the sexual history, it's really important because I don't have a lot of experience in this, but I will say that who you have been with is who your future partners will be with. I guess you can say literally and figuratively, that, and then soul ties. I think Loreal, you said about the whole spiritual connection thing. I hope I'm saying your name correctly as well. But those soul ties are real, really real. They are there, and they can come out of nowhere. I don't know if you're comfortable with me sharing this, babe.
Now do your thing, baby. Do your thing. Do what it is.
One time we were together. I don't even remember what we were doing or what we were talking about. But he just was getting really upset with me, and just his character was just kind of weird to me, and I didn't really necessarily know what was going on. We ended up getting into an argument, and then later on, he apologized and revealed to me yeah, I'm so sorry that was out of my character, and I realized the reason why I was acting like that. That's not even something that I do. That's something that someone in a past relationship did that was still inside of me, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even really think that was as real as it was. But when we were able to make that discovery, then we were able to really figure out how we need to go about that in our relationship. And then he was able to heal properly and really go to God about removing that soul tie so that we can better ourselves in our personal relationship, because stuff like that is so important. I don't think people really realize those traits that those people that you've been with cling to you, those spirits, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely important to talk about and to consider when you're with someone.
Yeah, I have a story about that. When I first met Darius, I was coming out of almost 2-year relationship. So that in itself was tough. And I think that I was constantly telling myself, oh, I'm good, I'm ready. You know how it is. You're whatever, want to put the past in the past, but you realize, and let me tell y'all, we have only known each other for a year, but we have been through so much. It's crazy. But we had to have so many tough conversations, and I think because of that relationship that I was in, there was so much negativity and just so much angst, and I think that actually did carry me into the next relationship. And I had to sit there and I had to be wow, I have to find to myself. I have to turn myself back to where I was, not back to where I was before, but a better version of myself. Take what I learned from the past relationship and move the good things on and leave the past behind. And that took so much prayer. It took so much, I'm being real, anxiety. And that's why, honestly, I tell Darius, almost every day, yo, I'm so thankful for you, because the nights he stayed up with me and, I was legit, crying. And he's just breathe on the game. Just freaking breathe. And I'm just oh, the fact that you're still here is amazing. But I feel you know, my past definitely allowed me to learn a lot. Because don't get me wrong, like I feel like people do forget. There are a lot of people you hear all these stories about women specifically that I've read a lot of books, a lot of stories that have had an intense sexual history, and they've found God and they've moved forward and they've been like, you know what, I'm going to take what the person that was and inspire other people. And I think that because of your past, you can become a better person. It's just a fact of removing the negativity, you know, taking it to God and really cleansing your soul. And I think that's really the most important thing. Okay, we're going to move into something a little different. What is acceptable and unacceptable when it comes to your significant other having friends of the opposite sex?
I'll speak on that one. So, me personally, in our relationship, there really is no friends of the opposite sex. Like, so it's because of our past, though. Like, so I'm like, different things works for different relationships. So because of our past, we're not comfortable with each other having like close friendships with the opposite sex. Granted, like I have male friends that I look at, like I grew up with them, like I go to church with them. He's met all of them, like, and he's comfortable around them to where it's like, oh, okay, you know, I know that they're not going to disrespect you or disrespect him in our relationship. So it's an understanding. For him, female friends is like his brother's girlfriend. His friends' girlfriends are his female friends and my friends because we all hang out together. And like my female friends became his friends. So it's all like, you know, one big happy family type thing. But as far as female college friends, some random girls she used to work with that I've never heard of, no, non-existent. A female best friend, no. That's funny. Female, but no, I don't like. I'm sorry, but the whole female male best friend thing, 9 times out of 10, if you give that best friend an opportunity, like if I had a male best friend and I came to him and I tried to like have sex with him or something like that, 9 times out of 10, he would, 10 out of 10 for because he's a guy, he would be like, bet, okay, let me slide up in here. Like, so yeah, that whole male female best friend thing, nah, not going for it. Absolutely not. That's just us though in our relationship. So,
and I'll piggyback real quick, but I mean, yeah, for us, it's not really existent. Any friends that we have are our friends as a group. Simply, and that's solely based off of our past. You know, there's some. I wasn't the most disciplined person, you know, growing up. So there's some people who are very disciplined, and you can have those friendships, but you have to do what works for you. You can't base, you know, what other people say off of what you think. Every relationship blueprint is specific to that relationship. So just because what we do doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. But yeah, she's absolutely right. We don't no female friends, and even the male friends that she does have, they're guidelines. They know daggone well. Don't you call this house? Don't you call her phone? Text her phone after a certain time. All right, because it's gonna be me answering, and I'm gonna ask you what's going on. Because as far as I'm concerned, I can talk about it tomorrow. Talk about it when the sun come up, and we're talking this late at night. And as long as you set those boundaries and guidelines that we've come up with together, it's not one-sided. So something that we've come up with together, and we stick to that for our relationship. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So
run it, babe. Run it. We're gonna run the whole show. We're gonna run the whole show right on this one. Real talk. Do it to him. I'll be quiet. Do it to him.
I could probably write a book on this topic alone. Let's just say. But I'm gonna start by saying that your significant other, your spouse, your partner should be your number one best friend. Like they should be like everything. Like next to God, there should not be anybody closer to you. So that's across the board. But me and Asa, we started as best friends, and all of his girlfriends before we started dating would be like, oh my gosh, she likes you, and I didn't. The crazy part is I never had feelings for him like throughout his other relationships, and they just swore, oh my gosh, y'all gonna end up together. I don't like this. And we would be like, no, like, we're really just friends. So I can see both perspectives just because we really just did start genuinely as best friends. But there came the day when my significant other had a female best friend of the opposite sex. And it's like, okay, we started as best friends. Like, it can work because, you know, he had relationships. We were just friends, and I understood the boundaries and everything. Even though his girlfriends didn't necessarily like it or like me, our friendship still maintained. But I always knew just the type of respect that I give was always like, I'm going to acknowledge you first. If I ever come up across you guys in person, I speak to the female first and give her the respect that she deserves. I'm not going to call at a certain time, but that's just me. And everybody isn't going to treat me the way that I treat them or want to be treated. So that day came where that best friend came along, and I was completely blindsided. Like, whoa, what just happened here? And it really took a toll on our relationship for about that first 2 years, maybe, and maybe 2.5 into that third year. It was very challenging to understand those boundaries. And then even more so because that person was like a business partner and worked with them professionally. So it's really like, I think it's a slippery slope with this one. I would say now, today, yes, you can have friends of the opposite sex. I wouldn't necessarily give them the title of like best friend, only because your partner should be your like one and only true best friend of the opposite sex. So that is what I think about it. But understanding, like, if you don't like something, speak up about it. Because if they don't know, they're not going to know how you feel about it. You can just be like, oh, it's fine. Like, they're just friends. But no, if you sent something, say it. If you don't like something or someone, say it. Because at the end of the day, that can be your best friend. That's cool. But if I say, hey, I don't like this, you need to cut this person off, or this isn't working for me. If they don't cut that person off, then you need to cut them off. Period. Like, there ain't end of that. Like, yeah, okay, that's your friend. But if there comes a time where I feel like this shouldn't be happening, and you make the decision to continue this friendship or continue this friendship in the way that it's going, then it's out of your control at that point. And you need to take a step back and say, hey, obviously I'm not as important to you as I thought I was. And maybe they're more important to you. And if that's what you want, that's what you want. So, and I'm going to stop there because I probably could say a lot.
Can I piggyback? All right, so if you're in a situation and you have one, right, here's what you got to understand, bro. Straight like that. Boundaries, bruh. Straight boundaries. You need to set them joints. You need to know when to get out, when to get out of Dodge, when to freaking distance yourself, when to cut the person off. Because soul ties don't just retain to sexual relationships. They actually do retain to friendships. You know what I'm saying? So you can have a soul tie to a person that you're not even having sex with. You know what I'm saying? Soul ties are all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So you got to really be mindful and really be careful about the boundaries and the certain things that you allow to happen. If you do have a female best friend or a male best friend, and you start to see things getting a little, you know what I'm saying, getting a little shaky, bro. You know what I'm saying? You need to do what you gotta do, bro. You need to get up out of there, because at the end of the day, you're gonna choose one. You ain't gonna have both. You cannot have both of those two people in your life acting in that, like, holding them at that standard. You feel me? Like, you gotta pick. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pick which one you're gonna rock with at the end of the day, bro. You're not gonna be able to have both. So you need to be able to set those boundaries. And if they can respect those boundaries, cool. Like Cuz said, yeah, I ain't gonna, you can't be talking to me, or you can't be talking to my girl after a certain time. You know what I'm saying? That's dead, straight like that. You set that stuff in place. You know what I'm saying? Get it together, because if not, you're gonna look up and you're gonna be in some bad situations, and it's gonna get real shaky and real unchy for you in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what you want. I've seen stuff go right in those types of situations, and I've seen stuff go way left. You know what I'm saying? I've seen marriages get shaken up and freaking pooped on, like doodled on, scattered, done, off of stuff like that, bro. That type of stuff really can ruin your relationship and can hinder the growth of your relationship, and can freaking, like, it can ruin a bunch of stuff, bro. If your partner is not your man's, if your partner is not your best friend, bro, y'all need to freaking figure something out. Y'all need to go ahead, tap in, lock in with each other, and really enjoy each other's company. Because at the end of the day, bro, after all of the freaking roses is all over with, after, you know, all of the cupcake stage is all over with, bro, all you have is that person's company. And if you can't enjoy that person's company who you with on a long-term scale, bro, you're done, son. Kablow, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro, all that stuff, set the boundaries if you're going to do that. If they can't abide by them boundaries, dip, it's a wrap. You know, if you can, good for you. Like homie said, like Akil said, it's per relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, it's to each his own type of situation. But yeah, man, make sure you locked in. Make sure you tapped in.
Yeah, I have just one more thing to say. You choose who has access to you. So if that person who's your friend feels like they have that much access to you, that's because you're giving them that access. You're allowing them to think that they have that much control over you and access to you. Then that's a you thing. And second, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. If you have a friend and they're close to you or whatever, if your significant other had a friend that was of the same level that your friend is at, and if you would be okay with that, then by all means, have your friendship, because friendships are important. But if the tables were turned and you start to get in your feelings, it's like, whoa, then that friendship that you have, and wrong answer. So if it can't be reciprocated on both ends, then it doesn't need to happen.
For real.
No cap.
For real. No, I'm gonna say this. I don't ever want no female to comfortable. If my man is going to another female and discussing negatives or I don't care, discussing any argument we had, if you're discussing our stuff with some other female, that's not finna rock. That's no, that's one thing I don't like. Because even sometimes I don't like when I'm in a relationship and you're talking about, because, okay, let's be real. If you're talking to your friends about your relationship and you're constantly rapping or venting about it, your friend now has a negative perception, and that opens the door for your friend to disrespect your relationship. Okay? So that's what we're not finna do. I don't do that best friend stuff. But I want to hear what Darius has to say about this. Go ahead, Darius. The floor is on you.
Everybody basically kind of already hit the points I was actually thinking about, but no, basically, like everybody's already said before, just having those boundaries set, like that's definitely a big important conversation. If, like, for example, like with Olivia, like majority of her friends are males, so it's just like she grew up with a lot of them, so it definitely was tough going into it. Like, you got a lot of guy friends, like you do got a few female friends, but like it's mostly guys. So it was one thing I kind of had to come to terms with, but like just kind of learning about them and knowing what kind of people they are and learning how they are, it kind of made me, understand more so like where she was coming from, where they're coming from, and knowing that as long as boundaries are set, as long as they know what's good, and as long as, they respect the relationship, then, as long as it definitely goes both ways from my end and her end, then we're good to go. But it did definitely, those boundaries definitely got to be set and like set in stone, because if they're not, like those gray areas can start leading to some other stuff, and that's what you don't need at all. It needs to be in black and white, no gray at all. Don't need nothing shaky out here. So
Yeah, I agree, but I think we have a kind of an understanding that a lot of people our age may not have. Like, I'm okay with him having female friends. It's just if you get that close, and we don't talk to our friends about our stuff, so it's like we had this conversation I think a couple weeks ago where I was like, I said, do you talk to your friends about our if we have an argument or something? He's like, no. And I was like, same. Like, if I have a problem with you, who else I'm supposed to talk to? I'm gonna talk to you. Like, so That is what it is.
Well, I feel like at one point in my life, I was like, yeah, sure, you can have female friends and I'll have guy friends. But then as time progressed, I realized that wasn't reality, and that's just not something that I personally could handle. So then we had a talk, and now there aren't, like, you can have acquaintances. I understand you have work partners and you have to socialize with all these other people, but if you're not going to get but so close to what's mine at the end of the day. And we had a lot of conversation about this, and we had to get some people cut off, and you know, at the end of the day, it all worked out, so we're good. Yeah. Anything you have to say?
I think she pretty much got it. I guess my opinion is really, it comes down to the respect that this other person has for you, the relationship, and then your partner as well, right? If your partner isn't getting respected by whoever this person is that you're saying your best friend is, then they don't need to be around, right? And I'm not a person who likes to just jump the gun and cut someone off, right? Like I'm not that type of person, but I feel like once something's said, then if you take a step back and they're unable to take that step back, and make sure they're clear about what you have as a relationship between them versus what you have with your partner. If they then can't respect that, I feel like then at that point it's justified because you gave them an option, right? You gave them the opportunity. And so I feel as though it's never should be, unless they said something completely disrespectful and wild, I feel like giving someone the opportunity to reevaluate themselves, especially if they've been in your life, is at least the courtesy. But at the end of the day, if your partner says, no, this is it, then if that's the person you're trying to be with, then whatever they say goes, right? So I think really it's just, again, about the guidelines, and I think there's levels to this, right? There's no clear-cut answer to, like, this person. I feel like it's a matter of perspective and what happened. And so really, once you as the two people in a partner relationship talk about it, then that's where you decide, okay, what needs to be done about X persons or X people.
While we were talking about friendships, I figured I should ask this question. I have a few more questions. I'm not going to keep y'all on super long. How do you feel about your significant other discussing your relationship issues or arguments with their friends?
It depends on what circle of friends it is, man. It depends because, well, first you got to know what friends they have, first of all, because it depends. Sometimes, I mean, I know as for us, we got like two sets of friends. At least for me, I got two sets of friends that I can go to, help me laugh. They're my brothers. I know them all my life. And I have friends that are more like spiritually sound in the word and things like that. So when I really need something with substance, like, I can really go to them. They know this, so I don't have a problem. I don't mind this being in the joint. It depends on what friends they have. If you know their friends, and if you don't, I encourage you to take the time out and learn who they are hanging around. Learn who are their other confidants besides you, bro. Because for real, that will give you everything you need to know. If her friends or his friends, if they are toxic, absolutely not. Keep that in between you, your partner, and God, bro. Straight like that. If they have some wisdom to them and that can help your relationship and help mold it, by all means, go ahead, bro. Tell them the whole thing from top to bottom. Because even in their flesh, if they have wisdom and are spiritually sound, they will still be able to put their fleshiness aside and give you the best possible advice or nuggets or just input in general to help mold and grow your relationship. If not, and they don't know what they talking about, and they out here wilding and teed up, and their relationships are messed up, and they don't got nothing else going for them around them, and they all like on Instagram and putting stuff on their Instagram and not their close friends by accident, dog. Don't tell them nothing, my G. Don't tell them nothing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm gonna keep it $1.50. No, you know what I'm saying? No joint across the face. That's what it is. Straight like that. I'm done. That's all I gotta say.
I'm gonna say this as far as when it comes to talking to other people about your relationship. There's a couple things that go into it. Number one, if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be asking nobody single for relationship advice. They're gonna give you single advice. That's number one. Number two, for us, we're married. We all know that just because you're in a relationship don't necessarily mean that you working towards marriage. Don't necessarily mean that you ain't out here doing you. Some people that have been in relationships and they flat out have no goals on getting married. So I'm not going to ask somebody else who's not married about marriage advice. So it's just like if you're a football player, you ain't going to ask a basketball player on how to help you catch football, right? So you gotta find people that are in your circle. So for example, even though I am married, I'm not going to go to just anybody who's married for advice. I'm going to go to a Christian, a Christian couple that is married, and I'll ask them for advice. That's number one. Number two, I try to refrain from talking to family and friends in general when it comes to relationships. I don't care who it is, simply because your family and your friends, no matter what, are always going to be biased towards you. So Olivia is my little cousin. That's my little person. So if she was to come to me and tell me advice about Darius, I could be like, well, but Olivia, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. Darius, you wrong. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing against you. It's just I know her. You understand what I'm saying? So my family is always gonna side with me. Her family's always gonna side with her. That's one part. The second part of that is they are your family and friends. God forbid, these are your people who've been in your life up until this now. They're gonna ride for you, so they're not gonna be so quick to forgive. So you tell them something, it's over. Some things is unforgivable for them. We might be good 5-10 minutes later, a day later, we might be straight. But them, it's gonna be awkward from then on out. It's no forgiving. So that's why I don't like to get other people involved in those type of things, like when it comes to our problems. And the last part is, we're in this relationship. It's not me, her mom, and her dad. It's not me, her, my mom, and my dad. It's not me, her, a couple of my boys who I feel like know something. It's not her and a couple of her girls who just gonna ride for it. It's me and her. So what works for me and her don't have nothing to do with you. Don't have nothing to do with them. What we decide is what we decide. And when we decide it, I don't need to make a decision based off someone else's opinion. Because if it goes south, then I'm gonna be like, well, bro, you told me that this is what you feel. Well, bro, you made the decision yourself. So at the end of the day, your relationship is your relationship. And at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna be able to dig you out that hole but the two people who dug the hole. So y'all gonna have to work together and figure it out and keep your business to yourself. That's the best thing. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And even when we did marriage counseling, they talked to us about allowing like outside people into your relationship and going to your friends and like letting them know your business and stuff like that. From my perspective, on top of what he said, I agree, but I also think that you shouldn't do it because although you know your friends and stuff like that, you always don't know people's true intentions. So if I'm going to my single friend who is dealing with her own personal issues and I'm telling her like, oh, me and Akil aren't good, we're going through this, we're going through that, and then all of a sudden like they starting to get close or something like that, like whoa, what's going on here? Like, wait a second, I came to you as a friend. Like, but again, you don't know people's true intentions, whether it's your friend, whether it's your family. You hear stories all the time about family members, brothers, sisters, and all this other crap, like people sleeping with each other, a whole bunch of nonsense. It's because they're allowing people into their relationship or allowing people into their marriage. And it's the same thing for social media. Like, we're in the day and age, like our age, we're all about social media. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, like YouTube and stuff like that. So when you're posting, like people people in relationships sometimes like legit get on my nerves when they run to social media and they're saying all this stuff, bad talking their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their significant other or whatever, saying all this stuff. When you're doing that, the only thing you're doing is opening the door up for the next person to slide in and be like, oh, bet. Now I know what not to do because you're complaining about these things. I will do the exact opposite of what you're complaining about. And next thing you know, now this next person has caught your attention because you told them what to do. You told them, hey, the person I'm with is doing this wrong. And they're like, bet, now I know how to get you. easy. I'ma just do this, this, and this. You literally gave me the answers. So like people really have to be careful with things like that. Like you should not let anyone into your relationship unless it's like a guidance counselor, not a guidance counselor,
Like your
like
spiritual mentor.
yeah, like a spiritual mentor or something like that. Like they told us that we should have like accountability partners, each of us separately, a Christian married couple, that's around our age, or like someone that we can relate to, that we can just kind of come to and talk to about things that we may be struggling with, like within our marriage, and things like that. And like we don't have any other friends that are married. We don't even have people around our age, like at all, that we know that are married. So it's very difficult right now for us to do that. So it's a challenge, but sometimes he may go to his dad about something, and we're not going into detail about stuff, but like if I know that my parents have been married this amount of time and I feel comfortable kind of talking to them about, okay, me and Akil had this disagreement, can you give me a non-biased, and my parents are also pastors, and they're also marriage counselors, like in a church or whatever. So I know that I can come to them on some things and be like, hey, me and Akil may be kind of struggling with this or have this disagreement. Can you help me, so we can come to agreement on how to fix this in a godly way. So that's my piece on it.
Three sides to every story. It's the truth, and then it's your side and it's my side. Just always keep that in mind.
Yeah. So for me, like not even the first, up until recently, I did not tell my friends about anything that was going on in my relationship, really. Like, I really kept it between me and him, but that kind of hindered me because I didn't have anyone giving me any sound advice, like, on really anything. I kind of kept it all to myself. Even things that may have bothered me that I don't feel like I was able to articulate properly, I didn't have anyone that I went to help me through that. So like those people that could have been like imparting wisdom, and people that have a certain like relationship as far as like with like spiritually, I wouldn't even go to those people. So I'm going to use this story as an example. There was one night I was on campus. I was with my friends, chilling in my dorm. My boyfriend, he's not in college. He's an artist, and he's doing that full time. So that dynamic is different because we both have our own perspectives on that. But I'm in college. I'm going to chill at the dorm this day. I'm going to hang out with my friends. And I didn't communicate effectively with my boyfriend about what I was doing that evening. So we had an argument, like, where I'm on campus, I'm in the dorm, and I'm mad, I'm pissed off. And everybody is around me is like, whoa, like, I don't even know what to do, what's going on. And that's because they didn't know anything about my relationship, really. They just saw me, like, kirking. And they're like, oh, okay. So in that moment, I stopped myself. I said, I need to calm down. I said, okay, I don't know how to handle the situation right now. So I said, I need to find my friend Sade. My friend Sade, she has a lot of wisdom, and I know that she can cover me properly spiritually, and she's also in a relationship herself. She ironically lived in that same building. So I said, all right, y'all, I'm sorry. I just ruined y'all game night. Like, we was in the middle of a game, y'all. Like, I ruined the whole thing just with my antics, where I could have removed myself and, like, kind of got myself together. I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I need to find Sade. I went to her room. And what ended up happening was I ended up sharing with her things that had nothing to do with the initial situation that I was mad about, that I had never really gotten any wisdom on. Like, it's one thing to keep something between you and your relationship because of, like, privacy, or that's really it just needs to be between y'all two. But there's a difference between that and not sharing and not getting any wisdom. So when I went to her, I was in her room, and she was like, Gabby, calm down. Tell me what happened and tell me what needs to happen going forward so that we can prevent stuff like this happen, because it's midnight, and what's happening right now is, I think this is bigger than you playing Monopoly on campus and you didn't text back fast enough. Like, that's really not that deep. What's happening right now is you have there's some underlying stuff that's really deep down in there that you never express and that you never share with anybody to get what you need. And I just sat her on boohoo crying, and she listened, and she was able to give me wisdom and sound advice on how I should move going forth in our relationship that really, really helped me and that carried me like even to this day. So I really think that it's important to know when to share and know when not to share. Because if you're not sharing at all and it's just kind of like piling up because you're not expressing, then that's a problem. Because I know for me, when I don't share certain things, because I don't do well, like I said earlier, I don't do well with verbalizing. Sometimes it takes for me to go talk to somebody who's not my significant other in order to be able to articulate what I need to articulate to them properly. Because like once I can talk it out and think it out to my friend, it's like, oh, okay. And they're like, okay, now what you just said is what you need to go tell him. And that's how that needs to happen. So
I think kind of piggybacking off of that, like I have like on my side, this is again what works for me in our relationship. But I have a couple of people I really consider my boys, right? My set that gets the title boys is really small. But kind of when you get that title, it's like, okay, you've been through me through like wind and fire. Like you've struggled together. And I know that you're someone who's there for my best interest, right? And sometimes I found that they're the people who I'm not just giving my complaints to. They're the people I'm also giving my joys, my pleasures to, right? Where I'm like, yo, boys, like today me and Mrs. just had like a wonderful day at the park instead of a picnic, something like that. You know, they don't just hear the bad, right? And so when I get to these times where like I might not necessarily go to her because I feel like she's not getting it, or like vice versa, I'm gonna go to them like, yo, this is a situation. Like, tell me, am I tripping? Like, what's going on, right? And then be able to know like the good as well as the bad. They're like, bro, I think you're tripping. Like, think about last week when you were telling me like, bro, like she was the happiest thing that you've ever like had, right? They're able to remind me of these things that in the moment I'm not seeing because I'm upset or because I'm kind of conflicted by everything that's going on. And like, I feel like for me, like when I say like my boys, like they're not just gonna tell me like, okay, bro, and like just leave her. Like, no, like they're looking out at the bigger picture. And sometimes me going to her, like I feel like when we go to her, like I'm not able to, like you were saying, articulate. I'm not able to get it out. And having someone else who's not involved in the relationship, sometimes they can give you an outsider's perspective while not being biased. And that kind of gets you like, okay, get your head out together, bro. Like right now you're just upset about it. Give yourself some space and like go back because you really care about her, right? You've been talking about her, like this, saying this about her, like you really know. And right now you're just in your feelings. And sometimes being the person who, you know, like the other person, the argument, you're not able to see that because all you see is the argument. And sometimes you need someone who's there for you to remind you that, yo, bro, you really love her. Like, just chill out.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone's saying. The thing that's difficult with me is I think I have yet to find that person that I guess I can go talk about my relationship to. I mean, outside of my mom, but like Akil was saying, my mom is biased, like intensely, because a lot of times if I tell her something, she will not forget. I told her one thing about a friend and now she has like a running nickname based off of that thing, and it's just like she's not gonna let it go. So I'm lucky because every argument or every situation that Darius and I have gotten into, we've been able to resolve it ourselves because I've become a very good listener and he was already a very good listener. Well, I've become a better listener. I mean, you could ask him if I'm very good. I don't know. I'm working on it. But so we've been able to resolve it within ourselves. But I do think that it is important to have that person. I just haven't found that person yet. So how do you know if you love someone or are infatuated with them? And how do you keep from being infatuated?
I feel like when you see me infatuated, I guess you're saying another word as far as like, are you in love or are you in lust? Correct. Okay. There's a couple ways you can look at it. I mean, I'm not sure if everybody here is a Christian, but we all know, I mean, if we doing it the Christian way, it's easy to decipher between love and lust because for real, you're supposed to be abstinent, a virgin until you're married. That separates those. But I mean, I don't think anybody in here is a saint. So let's deal with reality here. how you separate between love and lust. I think at some point within your relationship, the sex is gonna have to stop at some point, and you're gonna have to figure out whether or not you can connect with someone like that, and it's not physical. I was a very sexually active person, and I love sex. I love it. So, I think what helped us out is the fact that we went to college 7 hours away from each other. So we did distance for 2 years, and was everything perfect? No, not even close. But what that helped us do though is a lot of FaceTime, a lot of conversation on the phone where we developed a bond on something that was outside of sex, because we couldn't have sex. And honestly, if we were around each other, I don't know if we ever would have went, without having sex. But the fact that we had to go to college, and separate for 2 years, like, while we were dating, I think that helped us. And I think the way you separate it is once you are able to learn where you connect outside of the physical, then I think you'll understand the difference between love and lust, because love and lust, two different things. At some point, you're going to get tired of the same piece of, everything if you're not in love. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're in lust, that type of stuff wears off. Once you're like, all right, I'm sick of this, but then at the same time, you're like, we have nothing else in common. But when you're in love, like you view that person different. Their body is something that you cherish more, and something that you won't get tired of. So.
And just to piggyback, I agree. I also think that when you're in love with somebody, or when you really love somebody, you love them unconditionally. Like I was telling Akil earlier, like Akil loves me unconditionally. Like when we get into arguments and stuff like that, like something that he always does, if I apologize for something, he'll always say, oh, I already forgave you. Like, thanks for apologizing, but I already forgave you. Like, even before I apologize for something, he's already made up in his mind of, regardless of what you say or do to me, I already forgave you. So I think when you can learn to like forgive somebody and accept them for their flaws, but try to help them be better for like the flaws that they do have, I think that's unconditional love. And when you're in lust, you're not going to be like, you're not going to care. When you're lusting after somebody, or you're infatuated with them, it's very short-lived.
It's impulsive.
Yeah, like it's an impulsive feeling. It's an impulsive action. It's very short-lived, and it's not going to last. Like he said, like you'll get tired of something real fast if you're only looking at it as like, oh, it's just sex, or oh, it's just another pretty face. Something like pretty faces get old. You can have sex with just about anybody nowadays. You can go on a social media app and find somebody to have sex with very easily. So if you're just in it for the sex, you don't need to be with that person. If you're just in it because the person has a pretty face, what you gonna do if y'all do get married and then they get all old and wrinkly? They don't got that young face like they used to.
An accident.
Yeah, or something like that. Like it's till death do us part. So you're gonna be with that person through thick and through thin, regardless of what may happen in between that. So you literally have to love unconditionally love a person in order to make it work. That whole lust thing not gonna work.
And I'll say this lastly too. You'll be able to tell the difference as you go through life. You're gonna be able to tell the difference between love and lust. Because like I tell her all the time, life got its own problems. All right. And at the end of the day, when you really in love and notice love, you're not even questioning if it's love or lust, because life gonna throw you some curveballs, and it's gonna be so much deeper than Did you hear my favorite type of food or whatever? It's gonna be something so deep, and y'all gonna have to decide whether or not you're gonna stick it out. And love and lust, you better make sure before you get real serious, because when it's time to find out, it's gonna be time. That's all I got for it.
Yes, sir. Hey, I just want to say, they bodied that. Y'all bodied that. You know what I'm saying? I don't even got much to say. Y'all did that for real. I know I've been rapping for the most part with my answers, but y'all like just killed that joint just now. I ain't even gonna hold you. But basically, bro, what it is, man. To my fellas, if you or just anybody, you know it's real when I encourage you. This is how I knew. This is how like God really showed me. Like if you can just conceptualize the people that you know right now, whether it's legs, whether you know a whole bunch of people, whether you don't. If the people that you know at this moment in time, if it's whatever, if those people, if you were never able to spend the rest of your life with that person, would it affect you? Who could you kick it with every single day, and it never affects you? Like, and it ain't gonna phase you. You enjoy their company, like more than anything. Y'all don't have to do nothing. We doing it the Christian way. You know what I'm saying? You already know what time it is. So we try not to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like off rip. Can you enjoy that person's company? Can you talk to them all day without getting tired of them? I mean, people tell me all the time, they be like, you don't get tired of Gabbi? Nah, I told my man, I was like, how long y'all been together? I was like, going on 4 or 5 years. He was like, what do y'all talk about every day? Like, y'all actually have conversations? I'm like, yeah, like, what you talking about? Like, bro, like, if you can do that with that person every day, like, it don't even feel like we've been together that long. I'm not gonna hold you. It probably only feels like I say it feels like we only been together about a year and a half, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy that person's company, bro. Enjoy that person's company. Can you do that? Can you kick it with shawty or a homie without being ready to smack them? Like, can you do that? Can you really do that? Can you really sit in a room and kick it with them for bricks without being ready to go to blows, without being ready to kick them out, without being ready to just, I done had enough of you and your foot, bruh. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to spend the rest of your life with this person. Then you're going to have to live with this person and their habits that you might not even be aware of if you're not even thinking about it that deep, bruh. You don't know, bruh. Is you really ready for when it get unchy? You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you can kick it with them and you could be with them for the rest of your life, and be happy in the process, not just be with them because you feel like you made a commitment to be with them, but being with that person because you want to be with that person, because you want their company. Like, you know what I'm saying? If not, you're probably in lust, buddy, and you need to get up out of there, because as soon as shawty with the next thickums come walking past you, bro, you're gonna be done, and you're not gonna be happy, and you're gonna waste your time. But if you can enjoy yourself, being with that person every day, talking to that person every day, and really conceptualizing spending the rest of your freaking minutes and seconds on earth with that person, and you can really enjoy them with no sex at all, because there's gonna be a period of time, bro, where you might not be able to do anything, not because you choose to, but because you just might not have it in you, bro. What you gonna do when you 70 years old? Is you gonna be looking at them 24-year-old girls on the magazines, bro, geeking, or are you gonna be able to appreciate the woman that you've been with for the last 50 years, my G? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
I also think like how you determine is like kind of you talk about and you do the things that you love, right? If you think of it like 9 relationships, right? If you love basketball, you're watching every draft, you're looking up, like, you're seeing who's getting recruited, you're watching every game, like if it's something you love, you do it, and you do it often, you talk about it with people, right? It's something you love, you don't hide it, you don't pretend it's not there, you don't neglect it, right? And so if it's something you love, like I found for me how I realized, like every time like I'm talking to my brother, I'm like, yo, I'm like this other day, like me and her did this, like she makes me do this. I smile just thinking about it. Like if you can't have those conversations where like you're randomly just sitting around and you think of that other person, then you can't really think you love it, right? Or you love him because they're not the person that you just comes to your mind when you're just doing nothing, right? Like if that, I feel like just how anything else, like that's how you know you love it, because you do it often. And same thing in a relationship. If you don't like talking to shawty or whatever, or like you can't just sit in the room, like you don't really love her, right? And I feel like loving someone's presence is the most. If you can just be with them and just chill doing nothing, then you love them, because you're not involved. You don't gotta be doing Netflix. You don't gotta do writing poetry. As long as you guys can sit there and just vibe together doing nothing, you love her, because you love just being around them, right? And then the second thing is just like I remember like her, like she got her wisdom teeth pulled out. She was on drugs, knocked up. She was in the corner, sleep smack right over here like this, and I was looking, I was like, you are still the most beautiful person like I could think of right now. And at that point, I was like, like, I don't need anything else, right? Like, shorty might have a big whatever, like, but it don't matter because it doesn't matter how beat you look. It doesn't matter what. Like, to me, you're still beautiful regardless, right? And when you can like really think of that other person in that way, then it doesn't matter if they're like 70 with wrinkles, or like, like you appreciate the person not just for their looks, but for who they are. And if you can do that, then I feel like that's love. It's not lust.
Yeah, I would say if you look at a person, like if like the way you value them is based off of what they do for you, or like what they like bring to your life, whether it be materialistic or other things. If that's what you base your relationship off, like, well, why do you like them? Well, they buy me things and they bring me food, stuff like that. Then I feel like that's more infatuation with what that person can offer you versus you actually loving that person or being in love with them. And also, everybody else really hit the nail on the head with the lust thing. But if you can really spend the rest of your life with that person and you can't, like, I lost my train of thought. But babe, the question they asked us was, how long do we go when we spend time? Do we look to spend time together? Like, how long can we go before we get irritated with each other or want to leave? And like, and I don't even think I could answer that question really asked, because I'm like, I mean, I don't really get tired of them. Like, of course you get irritated, y'all have your moments or whatever, but like genuinely being like tired of a person, if you get tired of them for real, when you're like, bro, like, I really am not, like, you're really blowing me right now, then I think that's not like really being in love with that person, because somebody can get on your nerves all day, but you can still want to be with them. So.
I'll say this. If you can, this is the only thing I have to say for real. If you're having sex with a significant other and you're in a relationship, you're not married, whatever, you have to sit there and think, if I take sex off the table, do I still want to be with this person? That's it. If I take sex off the table, can I tolerate them? That's that. That's all I gotta say.
I'd just say, for everyone watching this, if you in a relationship, think about getting in a relationship, write down the end goal for your relationship. Everybody who's successful always has a goal. There's not one person who has come into success by accident. So if you're dating with, well, we're trying to figure out and see where this is going to go, might as well pack it up. Because if you don't have a goal, you're not working towards anything. You're just living in the moment and you're going with the flow. So I tell Lo all the time, either you going to make your decision or life going to make it for you. So if you know that you want to be in a relationship, then write down what you want that end goal to be. And believe this, marriage is not the end goal. The end goal is have a happy marriage till death do you part. So marriage is just another stepping stone to get to where you want to go. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. That was good. I'm so happy y'all are all on this call. Thank y'all all for joining me. I had a few other couples I wanted to bring. I was like, I hope the dynamic is still good. And this was really great advice. I think this is going to help somebody. So thank y'all so much.
Hey, Akil, y'all inspiring, cuz I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Everybody gave a good input, but like, hey, I didn't have nothing to say, and then what you said, it like sparked something in me. Let's just make this whole thing clear. The only reason why everybody's relationship in this joint is working is because we got God in the center of this joint. You feel me? At the end of the day, I hear a lot of my friends, they be like, yo, like, oh, this don't work, that don't work, or how do you know that this is gonna work? What's the difference between this and that? All that stuff. If you don't have God in the center of your relationship, bro, that joint is gonna flop for the most part, bro. Especially if you're trying to, in some way, shape, or form, that joint gonna flop. So yeah, just make sure you put God in the center of that joint and make sure that that's where your foundation is. Because if not, you might be in some trouble. So yeah, that's it.